Hey there, Lene here. I'm one of the GMAT experts at Magoosh, and today I want to talk to you about how can non-native students master GMAT verbal. To be fair, reading comprehension skills do apply to the entire verbal section, and to some extent, GMAT reading really does require the ability to read quickly and accurately. The slower and less accurately you read, the less time you have to work all of those questions and all of those answer choices. So complicating the situation, of course, is the level of vocabulary and sentence complexity that the GMAT throws at you. Unfortunately, there's no magic bullet or fast fix for gaps in reading comprehension. Improving in reading takes a serious amount of time, a ton of practice, and a significant amount of patience. You want to be kind to yourself through this process. But, of course, we have advice on how and what to invest your time in. In terms of time, reading should be a huge part of your study if you're a non-native English speaker. We recommend that you spend at least an hour reading each day, and that's on top of your GMAT prep that you're already doing. And you want to make sure you read materials that are written at the same complexity level as the GMAT, which brings us to our first approach to help you with reading. We're going to talk about what to read to prepare for the GMAT. So the passages on the GMAT fall into 4 categories. You have physical science passages, you have biological science passages, social science passages, and of course you have business passages. So in practice, you should read articles from each and every one of those passage types. For science-based passages, Scientific American is a great resource. For social science passages, the New York Times and the Atlantic Monthly are tried and true resources that we've suggested to our students for many, many years. And finally, for business topics, you can check out the Financial Times or the Economist, or you can navigate to the business section of something like Bloomberg News or BBC News. Now, if you simply don't find that you have as much time to read as I'm suggesting, and that's because, well, life is really busy. It's crazy busy with work or school or family responsibilities, and that is completely understandable. But you should still try to find a way to expose yourself to as much English as possible. That can be done through English language shows and podcasts. The Daily from the New York Times is an excellent podcast to begin with, or How I Built This from NPR. And once you start with some of those podcasts, hopefully you find some of your own favorites, and those end up being not only enjoyable, but a great way to help bolster some of the English skills that you'll need for the test. And that brings us to our second reading approach, which is use a reading-driven method to build your own personal vocabulary list. Ultimately, the GMAT is testing your reasoning skills, not your vocabulary skills. Obviously, if you have a larger vocabulary, it's going to make navigating the text easier, but the more important thing is that you develop your ability to focus on how words are used in context and your ability to use the surrounding words to help you guess at the meaning of a word that you don't know. And that means, and you may have already seen this coming, your supplemental reading that you're doing just to build your overall comfort level with GMAT reading, that is the best resource for you to find new vocabulary words. To use reading to help build your vocabulary, whenever you come across a word you don't know in your practice, imagine that there is a blank. And then use the surrounding context clues to help you make a guess at what word might fill in that blank. After you're done reading the passage, go to a dictionary and compare the dictionary meaning to the meaning that you made a guess at. If those meanings are aligned, that's awesome. If they aren't, that's where you have to dig back into the details. Look at those surrounding context clues again to see what you might have missed. And the words that you really struggled with, you can put those into your own personal word list that you're working on just to help with personal development for the GMAT. So if you are using this reading-driven method to build your own vocabulary list, that's great. Don't worry about trying to do an internet search to find a great big long list of words that might appear on the GMAT, because might appear on the GMAT isn't all that helpful when it comes to what you're going to actually see on the GMAT for test day. And just working on building skills and vocabulary that help with improving your general reading comprehension, that is going to be so much more beneficial for you. Now, the final thing we're going to talk about, approach number 3, is to remember that the big picture trumps the details. So a number of questions on the GMAT are focused on the big picture. So therefore, your comprehension of the overall message is essential. How this translates to practice is to not let yourself get caught up or frozen when you don't understand a word or even an entire sentence within the text of a passage. When all is said and done, you might not have a question on that detail, which means bullet dodged. Or you can think about it as something you have to return to spend a little bit more time on. All of that will play into your pacing goals for the section. To develop your skills in focusing on the big picture, you really want to practice skimming and summarizing. So that means that you should pay particular attention to the first and last sentences of each paragraph and make note of any transition words that signal a turn or a contrast within the paragraph itself. Ultimately, you want to work towards being able to succinctly articulate the general message of each and every chunk of text. A great way to practice this is to ask someone, ideally someone who is working for the GMAT, but anyone who's willing to help you works as well. And that's to ask them to become your reading partner. So each of you will read a passage, you'll write down the main idea of the entire passage, and you'll also write down the main idea and the purpose of each paragraph. Then you compare notes. So if you've written similar ideas regarding the main idea and the purpose of each paragraph, that is awesome. You're aligned. You can continue to discuss what it was that led you to those conclusions. And if what you've written is not at all similar, that is also going to indicate you should dig back into the details of the passage together to see what either of you might have missed. So you're helping each other make these connections and create greater familiarity. All right, y'all, that about sums up the more high level and a few detailed approaches to GMAT for non-native speakers. If you would like more help with the verbal section, or if you'd like help with the quantitative section, the integrated reasoning section, or even the essay, be sure to check out our other videos or check out specific lessons or upcoming cohorts available through magoosh.com. If you feel this video has helped you, let us know by liking and be sure to subscribe for more videos from either me or the other GMAT experts here at Magoosh. And of course, if you have suggestions for other topics you'd like to see us cover, please leave us a comment below. We want to hear from you and we want to provide you the content that you would like to see. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.